Welcome to Three Count Commentaries, as we're going to talk about AEW Revolution from March the 6th, 2022. So, overall, the show was just too damn long. It was a very, very long show. To me, it felt even longer in the second half. This doesn't mean that any of the matches were bad, even though there was a lot of stuff on the show I didn't like. It was the stuff that I expected to like, I did like. So it delivered in that regard. So the show delivered in the regard that the stuff that I liked actually hit expectations and to a degree, in some ways, exceeded expectations. The problem is that there was just so much stuff to sit through that I was frustrated by the end of the show because I wanted the show to be over more than anything. More than I wanted to see any other move. More than I wanted to see any super kick, any surprise, anything, any big move, super senton splash or whatever. I just wanted the show to be over. That's really the end of it. I didn't want to see anything else. I felt like I had seen everything possible in a wrestling show by the time this show ended. I wanted this show to be over. And it continued. It just kept going and going and going. I was like, oh my God, this cannot be real. You know, it just cannot be real that we keep trying to take people up. And it's like, oh God, it's too much. So there was a lot of stuff in here that probably would have been cool if this show was 3 hours. If this show was 2 hours and 30 minutes. It would have probably been a really good show. But it felt bloated. And it felt like bloated in a way where, you know, you eat some cake. And you like cake. You love cake. But now it's like Matilda. You have to sit here and eat this whole cake. And it's like, no, if I was watching this on a DVD or something, I could skip through it. Fine. It's been great. But if I have to sit and eat this whole cake, oh God, I'm going to regurgitate this fucking cake. Excuse my language, YouTube. So let's talk about this show. I caught the end of the pre-show, which saw Eric Redbeard get power driven on his dome piece by Brody King and pinned. So House of Black defeated the Death Triangle and Eric Redbeard. I didn't get to see the match too much. The opening to AEW Revolution made me laugh right off the jump because JR forgot where he was. It's Sunday. You know what that means. Tony, where are we? Oh God, yes. Yes. First match, Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. A hard-hitting match. Kingston is very heavy with the chops. I do enjoy that. Jericho is in fantastic shape. Got to give him credit for getting it together. He still has a little bit of a dad bod, but he's so much better than he was before. The suplex where Eddie Kingston dropped Jericho on his head, the half Nelson suplex. Let's be honest, not everybody should be doing those. I get it. Jericho's probably heavy. Kudos to Jericho for taking it. I'm going to give Jericho a lot of kudos in a minute. But kudos to Jericho for taking it, but he landed right on his head. And that was not a good way to start the show. Later on, Jericho dropped Eddie Kingston on his head with a German suplex. Also probably not the best thing for a guy who's 40. Two guys in their 40s and 50s getting dropped on their heads is probably not a good sign for the rest of this show. Jericho threw some really weak looking punches to the head before doing a super Hurricane Rana. I thought that was cool, but his punches to the head just looked absolutely brutal. They were awful moves. Let's talk about the finish. So let's get to the finish. The finish is 2 spinning back fists and then the stomp puller, or the stretch plum, what they called it. I think the stomp puller, they pull the leg. It's a very awkward looking submission hold that requires stretching the arm and wrenching the neck, and Jericho submitted. So Kingston wins, right decision. Eddie Kingston puts his hand out to shake, and Jericho refuses. Great storytelling device there. And Jericho just walks away. So first, let's talk about the story. Jericho refusing to shake the hand, great stuff. Jericho knows what it means to be a true heel. A true heel would refuse to shake the hand. A true heel would never keep his word. You know, Kingston defeated him and beat him by submission at that. And he just could not keep his word. So this was a good win for Kingston. He needed a big win. Finally, somebody willing to put the fucking guy over. And that, to me, is a great sign for Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is incredibly unselfish. It does not matter what you have to say about him as a person, or you don't like MAGA or whatever. Jericho is incredibly unselfish. Jericho has probably missed out on more money helping other people than he's probably made. There were stories about Jericho supposed to win the 2012 Royal Rumble because he was wrestling Punk that year, if I remember correctly. And he willingly said Sheamus needed it more. So he would go in last and got eliminated. It disappointed a lot of fans who wanted Jericho to win the Royal Rumble. You know, and the company was willing to go behind it. But Jericho said Sheamus needed it. You know, there are so many times where Jericho has been treated like a ping pong ball, done jobs when he probably shouldn't have, you know, all because Jericho is incredibly unselfish. He is willing to put anybody over. He knows what's right for the business. And even though Eddie Kingston's a 40-year-old plumber, it is what it is. It was the right decision. If the story we're trying to tell here is that Eddie Kingston is a guy who, you know, is fighting and scratching and clawing to get his respect, getting it finally is the right finish. You know, and to me, Eddie Kingston should have beat CM Punk. The storyline was set up so that Eddie Kingston can beat CM Punk, and he lost. You know, every time they would tell these great stories with Eddie Kingston, he would just come up short. Finally, fucking Eddie Kingston won. Finally, the people who have been behind this guy is like, okay, now maybe AEW is finally behind the guy. Now, he's probably not going to win the title anytime soon. But by God, somebody finally said, I'm going to put this fucking guy over. And not just put him over and beat him. I mean, put him over. Like he wins. You know, and this was a great start to the show. This was fantastic. I like this. I expected this to be pretty good, and it was. Jericho is still not the Jericho of old, but then again, he's 50. You know, what more could he be? Second match, Red Dragon, Jurassic Express, Young Bucks. The Jurassic Express win this match. I think their finish is called the Jurassic Express now, and not the actual team. I don't care. I'm calling them Jurassic Express. This match was just full of spots. I mean, it's a Young Bucks match. What do you expect? To me, it seemed like this card was split down the middle, and you had things that were mirroring each other until the main event. The main event was something a little bit unique, but actually, no, it wasn't, because it was like, if you could split off, it had a version of everything. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, it was almost the exact same as the main event. A bunch of big moves, a lot of interference. This match, the triple trios tag team match, you can look at that from the Tornado Trios match, where it's just guys jumping at each other, people all over the place, a bunch of 100 fucking spots. The ladder match was the only thing that didn't have like a direct parallel also on this show. It may be the dog collar match. Everything else, the Kingston and Jericho, Moxley and Danielson, with a different ending. You know, so they basically just split the show down the middle and said, how can we have two versions of the same goddamn thing? And that just tired me out. But this match, if you are a regular on this channel, you know I don't really like the Young Bucks. Red Dragon is cool and all, but I have no interest in this. The story of the match is that there was this implicit relationship between the Young Bucks and Red Dragon. And as usual in triple threat matches, the two heel teams or the two heels are trying to help each other, or at least helping each other, or promise to help each other going in. And then it would devolve into faction warfare between the two of them at the same time. Now, it was sort of implied and not a direct working relationship between the two of them. So they were able to do moves to each other, kick each other, chop each other, and stuff like that without it being too weird. The one spot that I think that probably deserves some attention was the shooting star press. So Jungle Boy did a shooting star press while I think Kyle O'Reilly had one of the Young Bucks in a guillotine. And as per usual, it's just stereotypes, choreographed, everything. There's no little look. Here's another thing I want to talk about. Because I'm starting to ramble. I'm trying to focus my thoughts. This match started with tags. What was the point of starting with tags if we're just going to devolve into everybody jumping on everybody and everybody's in the ring. That's the thing that kind of frustrated me. It's like, just have it be tornado if that's going to be the case. If everybody's going to be in the ring, there is no legal man, everybody's jumping all over the place, why start with we're going to tag each other in and out? And then it just devolves. Every fucking Young Bucks match does this. Everyone. They start with something and then it just devolves into chaos. I'm over it, man. Stylistically, I hate it. I hate it so much. There's a bunch of other spots in here, but I don't care about them. Luchasaurus continues to be awful. He is just awful, man. I know you have no idea, excuse me, how right Bill DeMott was about him. You just have no idea how right he was about Luchasaurus. This guy fucking sucks. All right. But it is what it is. Jurassic Express win. Match 3, the Face of the Revolution TNT title #1 contenders match. Keith Lee, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Christian Cage, Wardlow, and Orange Cassidy. I didn't like this match either, and I'm about to tell you why. All right, I think the right guy won for sure. Even though I would have preferred it to be Keith Lee, I think the right guy won. But there was a spot when Orange Cassidy was in the ring, and he was spinning around in circles with the ladder on his head. You know, the old spot. For starters, he was spinning very slowly. Secondly, everybody was just casually walking up to this thing and getting hit in the head with it. I was just kind of like, are we going to take this seriously or not? Like, are we taking it seriously or not? Then I think it may have been Hobbs. Was it Wardlow and Keith Lee, or was it Hobbs and Keith Lee? One of the two. It was Keith Lee and one of the other guys. They caught the ladder and lifted it up, and then Orange Cassidy was holding on to it. So he did a chin up and pulled himself up to the giant golden donut. And I thought that was actually not bad. But of course, you asked the question, why would they be holding the ladder up? So they could do this spot, of course. Then you had the big guys. They go outside the ring. Keith Lee has a perfect opportunity, or was it Wardlow? One of the two. They have a perfect opportunity to climb the ladder and win. They climb down so they can square up with the other big guy. And I was kind of like, shouldn't winning be the focal point here? You know? And then we end up with the big guys fighting up the ramp, fighting over there near the commentary area, just so Wardlow can knock the two big dudes off the ramp through a table. So Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs, I believe, went through a table. And they were out of the match. Now, at least that part made sense. At least we got a reason why they were kind of eliminated out of the match. But at the same way, I'm kind of like, what were they in the match for? If they were just going to do that. So the point of this match was to show that, you know, Wardlow was kind of the alpha male of the big guys. Okay, without him actually having to pin anybody. So Wardlow wins. So that was good. I'm going to completely pretend that the Danhausen curse thing did not occur. I saw it occur, but I'm definitely going to pretend it didn't, because I would get really mad if it did occur. So the Wardlow finish actually was pretty good. I think that it was the right decision. And what they did in the CM Punk MJF dog collar match, I think took him up to the next level. I think that was really good. But we'll talk about it when we get there. So Tony Schiavone breaks out our first of two signings of the evening. Shane Swerve Strickland. And he's good. I like Swerve. Always have liked Swerve. He's going to be a nice fit in AEW. But the situation that we have here is everybody does the same stuff. And he is another guy who does the same stuff. So it's like, everybody's talking about all the dream matches and championships. It's like, I just see him as being almost not quite a young buck in blackface. Not quite. But, because he's not that bad, you know. He has a lot more charisma than they do, to be quite honest. You know, as far as the way he moves and his attitude, that's what, would make me think that he's actually pretty good. But if you watch some of his matches, he doesn't really I think he kind of does the Will Ospreay, Ricochet, choreographed match. He kind of can have that too, which is, it is what it is. But I think that it was a no-brainer to sign this guy. I don't see the problem. This was a good one. I don't think that we need to sign somebody every week. That's just kind of how I think you should have a team, and your team should be set for a little while. I think constant signings and constant, bringing new people in. You only have a certain amount of TV time. We've already forgotten about Jay Lethal. We've already forgotten about Miro. Keith Lee is already being put through tables. The guy's been on TV a month already. Malachi Black is in the pre-show. Andrade is in a throwaway trios match. All these people were big signings at one point. And we're hearing about yet another big signing and yet another big signing and yet another big signing. It's like, okay. All right. Sometimes, there's nothing wrong with signing Swerve. He's a great talent. But are you really losing out on anything if you don't have him? No. You have what you have in Swerve. You could have in Top Flight as a tag team, if we just want to be honest. And they're younger. So why not just put whatever energy you're going to put towards Swerve, put that towards the young boys? I don't know, man. That's just me. I would say, how many people on the roster who do the same shit that we really need? That would be my thought. How many fucking quarterbacks do you need? And you could have, if it's I don't know how many, 52 players on a football team, are all of them going to be quarterbacks? Because I got to have that quarterback. We got our quarterbacks already. We got our running backs and our wide receivers already. What we need is some linebackers. We need some offensive tackles. We need some fullbacks. We need some tight ends, man. We need more diversity, not just in skin color, because it's stylistically all the same shit. That was, what made the Keith Lee signing a little bit different. But then he just went in there and he's a big young buck. He likes doing all the high flying stuff. I don't know. But good on Swerve for getting that deal. Make that money while you can, brother. All right, third match, Tainara Conti versus Jade Cargill. And this match started with a kiss, like all good things. All good relationships start with a kiss. And it devolved into nonsense. Let's talk about the Jade Cargill, Jade from Mortal Kombat cosplay, because there's another thing that I want to discuss here. And instead of bringing it up at the end, I'm going to bring it up here. I remember a day where, the wrestlers were being cosplayed, where everybody was walking around in a hot rod shirt and a skirt because they wanted to be like Roddy Piper, where everybody wore an Undertaker hat and they wore purple gloves because they wanted to be like Undertaker. Guys who wore those, weird shades and the red tinted shades because they wanted to be like Shawn Michaels. They wore Hitman shades and they wanted to be like him. How did we go from wrestlers being characters that people cosplayed to now wrestlers cosplaying video games? The wrestlers are the cosplayers now. From Zelina Vega to Jade Cargill to Adam Cole to Kenny Omega to Johnny Gargano. It's at what point did the wrestlers themselves stop being cool enough to be cosplayed and become the people who do the cosplaying? I don't know. It's like when you listen to rap music and you try to find that spot where the rappers went from the drug dealers to the guys who do drugs. Because all the guys talk about now is doing drugs. So you try to figure out how did that happen? Because I remember growing up, all the rappers were drug dealers. They may have talked about smoking weed and, having a little drink here and there. But they were talking about popping Xannies and, ecstasy and all that kind of stuff until the early 2000s. Then all of a sudden, everybody's talking about how fucked up they are. And it all becomes all depressing and, how people are trying to cut their own wrists up, how they don't want to be on this earth anymore, and all that kind of shit. It's what the hell happened? It's you watch this stuff and you pay attention to this stuff and you don't have any idea when that sharp turn happened and all of a sudden all the rappers were drug addicts, codeine and promethazine and all that shit just came out of nowhere. And it's this with wrestling now, where it's out of nowhere, all of the wrestlers who, stop being worthy of being cosplayed and start being the cosplayers. And it's kind of I don't know. And especially since you're not, it's if I'm not, I knew Mortal Kombat because I played Mortal Kombat. But the Adam Cole thing, I didn't get it because I didn't play fucking Halo. I didn't know what that was. I'm why is he dressed like this? He looks like a fucking goof. Why is he dressed like this? oh, he's wearing Spartan armor from Halo. I'm like, oh, what? A video game? Ugh. Being a video game player is not a personality. That's the one thing about Gamergate that I was kind of like, that made me kind of a little standoffish. Like, being a gamer is not really a personality, dog. You know, it's a hobby. You know, a personality is a personality. Jade Cargill, let's talk about Jade Cargill and Tainara Conti. There's not much to say outside of Jade kissed her, which felt very Bugs Bunny to me. It didn't feel gay. It felt Bugs Bunny to me. Like, you know, Bugs Bunny kisses Elmer Fudd and stuff like that, but it's just kind of in a mocking way. The match was what it was. You know, of course Jade was going to win, but they took my advice. Jade looked a lot more vulnerable in this match, which is a positive thing because it adds more drama to her matches. I've been on them about that, you know, trying to make these matches more dramatic, and they did it here. It just so happened that her opponent was Ty Conti, and I didn't care. So they tried to do some storytelling in this match where Anna Jay hit Jade Cargill in the face with a chair, which there's no reason why the referee wouldn't have seen that, you know, or because I don't think Ty Conti even had the referee distracted. Secondly, where else would you have heard that loud smack sound? Shouldn't the referee have been like, wait, what was that? And then see the chair and be like, wait a minute. Now, Jay didn't hit herself with a chair. You know, like there's something to be said about referees being stupid in wrestling and referees being stupid in sports. And I would like to see a wrestling company, and maybe this is overthinking it, have smart refs. And what I mean by that is that referees actually learn from previous matches and previous things what possible stunts the heels could pull. Like when you see, like in the old days, where William Regal started doing the power of the punch. So then referees would check his boots, they check his gloves, they check his tights, and eventually they find the brass knuckles. Because they're smart, they're not stupid. They know he uses brass knuckles as a gimmick. They're going to try to find them. And so he had to find different ways of hiding it. You know, hiding the power of the punch, even having somebody else bring it, planting it somewhere outside the ring beforehand, whatever the case may be, in order to make the match more interesting, instead of him just constantly having stuff in his tights, which is why the referee should check your tights and stuff anyway. So I this came into my head during the women's main event, the Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa match, because it's like every one of Britt Baker's matches boil into Jamie Hayter and Reba are just running around the ring, distracting the ref, yada, yada, yada. And you have to say to yourself, like, how many times could the referee constantly fall for the same shit? You know, like, how many times could you possibly fall for the same exact distractions? It makes no sense, you know? Eventually, especially if the referees watch the show. If you're a referee, you watch the fucking show. You can't fall for the same tricks over and over again. So here you had, it wasn't as bad, clearly, but you had Anna Jay being used as a distraction. She was actually covering up Tay Conti at one point. It was just really weird. But Jade Cargill won, which is probably the right thing to do. She's 29-0. Hey guys, that's good, I guess. All right, MJF and CM Punk. So CM Punk says in the previous vignette he didn't want to be tethered to garbage human beings, but he's going to be tethered to Max. So MJF, CM Punk. Okay, so MJF comes out to Cult of Personality. It was at the beginning, it was a nice little swerve. After that, CM Punk comes into his Ring of Honor theme. He's actually wearing the shorts from his Ring of Honor run too. So, you know, he's just taking all of Edge's ideas. Now he's like, oh, Edge wants to do the Brood music and the Brood entrance. I know what I'll do. Okay. It's probably also a nod to the Ring of Honor library being purchased, and the fact that he had a pretty good dog collar match with Raven in Ring of Honor. We're going to talk about, you know, it's not really a news and notes kind of thing, but CM Punk did say after the show that he's glad Tony Khan has the Ring of Honor library. He doesn't want WWE to have it because, you know, he doesn't get paid off the network, or he didn't get paid off the Peacock, and he's kind of upset about that, and he doesn't want WWE owning any of his stuff, and yada, yada, yada. It's, you know, the bitter ex-girlfriend mentality still exists with CM Punk. You know, we broke up almost 10 years ago, and you still talk about me. My dick's small. I stink. I get it. My house is dirty. I get it. Okay, whatever. But this match actually was okay until the thumbtacks came out. There's a great amount of wrestling in this match until the thumbtacks came out. Then I was saying, why would a character like Maxwell Jacob Friedman introduce thumbtacks? Why? Why would he do that? That would be my question. Why would he do that? What about MJF says hardcore, I'm going to bring in some thumbtacks? How is that a part of his character? It's not. So what was the thumbtacks for? So the superplex through the thumbtacks, it occurred. It was all right. I think that I don't think it really added that much to this match, especially considering the finish. I don't think it added that much. So, Wardlow comes out. MJF wants the Dynamite Diamond ring. Why he would give it to Wardlow? I mean, I know Wardlow usually has it, but in this match, since there's no disqualifications, he's going to go and get thumbtacks. Yes, I'm saying thumbtacks, not thumbtacks. DUMB, for those of you who don't understand my lisp. If he planted the thumbtacks outside the ring, thumbtacks, why wouldn't he have the Dynamite Diamond ring on him? Anyway, he goes to get the ring from Wardlow. Wardlow, oh, I can't find it. I can't find the ring. I can't find it. And CM Punk recovers, hits the GTS. Wardlow, oh, I found the ring. I finally found it. And I'm going to place it directly in front of CM Punk so he can grab it. And CM Punk, of course, watches Wardlow do this. Wardlow with a little bit of a smirk. CM Punk grabs the ring, puts it on. Then they did the extra stuff where Punk was, talking to him, and MJF, flipped. No, I think it was the other way around. Punk flipped him off. MJF spit on him, and so Punk punched him in the head with the ring and pinned him. It was a good way of tying up that story of MJF being hoisted upon his own petard. He's usually the guy who hits people with the ring, and now he's the one to get hits with the ring. That's nice. Okay, I don't mind that storytelling device. I love that Wardlow finally is just saying fuck MJF, and I'm gonna do my own thing. It was nice. Of course, not quite the way I would have done it, but it was nice. Wardlow, there's no way for him to explain what he did. So this is a clean break for Wardlow. He's going off and doing his own thing, and quite possibly will become the TNT champion, which I think he will be, which is the right thing to do, if they do it correctly, of course. So essentially, Wardlow and Maxwell Jacob Friedman are broken up, and CM Punk wins the feud. All of that stuff is fine. At the end, CM Punk does the whole I want the title motion. Okay, that's probably the right thing to do too. So there was nothing wrong here outside of those fucking thumbtacks. There was a great deal of wrestling in this match where there was hold and counter hold. There was some fighting. They utilized the chain. This was a match where blood made sense because they were trying to tell the story of this being a bloody feud. I don't like how they got juice on MJF. With CM Punk, it was just reopening the wound that was opened on Wednesday. But for MJF, felt like we had to go through the whole thing of we got to do something to make him bleed. Where, it was kind of like, maybe we shouldn't have. Maybe we didn't need double juice. Maybe we should have just had one person bleeding in this match, and it'd be CM Punk. And he had to fight from underneath while selling the blood. He's really good at that. So, I didn't like the thumbtacks, but I loved the match. I think the match was great. And I think the finish was apropos as far as a hard break between MJF and Wardlow. And there's no way for Wardlow to back out of it. There's no way to explain it. MJF got fucked over by Wardlow. That's what happened. And he earned it. So now we have to start telling the story of what MJF is going to do to Wardlow, which he could fire him. And then Wardlow doesn't get his title shot because he doesn't really work there. And that really could be the question. And I said that to myself as Wardlow won the match. I was like, didn't they say Wardlow isn't a wrestler? He's the bodyguard of MJF. But then they could also just say Tony Khan signs Wardlow, and they could do the whole Wardlow with All Elite gimmick all over again to show that Tony Khan actually signed Wardlow. So that's an easy fix. It's an easy patch. But it's just something I thought was interesting that they put into the storyline is that you're not even a pro wrestler. You work for me. I'm like, okay, I can buy that. That makes sense. Then why does he work in sanctioned matches though? All of his matches should be unsanctioned then, right? I don't know. But this was good. I like CM Punk and MJF. Very good match. Now we got to watch CM Punk try to make Adam Page interesting. Ha ha! Good luck with that one. I wonder how many WWE references it's going to take to make that match interesting. Britt Baker and versus Thunder Rosa. They always have fairly good matches. This was a pretty pedestrian version of things that they've done already. To me, it was very difficult for them to top matches that they've already had. The crowd was tired by this point. You know, they popped like crazy for the opening, like the introductions and for everybody's stuff, but they kind of was cooling down at this point. You know, it was kind of like sun's getting real low, you know, and they did a really smart thing here. This was good match placement, as they put a women's match before CM Punk and MJF, and they put a women's match afterwards. So you could, you know, not be that into Tay Conti and Jade Cargill. You can come down a little bit from the ladder match. You could also come down a little bit more for Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Now they'll never say that it was meant to be. It was banger after banger after banger, which is what a lot of their fans think. But no, if you were not interested in Tay Conti and Jade Cargill, you can go get you something to eat, go get you something to drink, you know, and that's it. You can relax, you can cool down. Here, same thing. You know, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa was just kind of like, go stretch, you know, go do something else, because there's more important things than this, right? So I like the new designer for the women's title. I did see that. I like that. It looks like the Lucha Underground Gift of the Gods Championship. I like the extensive detail that they put into it. It looks good on TV. I think it actually looks better than their previous world title. And considering WWE's championships are so incredibly lazy. I mean, just so incredibly lazy. It's the best looking women's title around. So I give AEW credit for that. They did a good job. They did the visual submission for Thunder Rosa via the straight jacket, but of course the referee is distracted by Rebel, and instead of just throwing her out, just kind of let her hang around. You got Rebel and Hater floating around the ring like mosquitoes, constantly interfering and getting in the way. And of course, that leads to Britt Baker winning with the curb stomp. There was a curb stomp on the championship, and she kicked out, but the curb stomp afterwards, so the next one, she couldn't kick out of that. I didn't care about this. I really didn't care, and I didn't think this was the best match that they've ever had too. I think a lot of people are starting to hit the button on Britt, where they're kind of tired of her. I did see that online. I peek every now and again to what people are saying online, and they're starting to say that Britt Baker is on a reign of terror. Look, I knew Britt Baker was going to win this match because she lost the unsanctioned match. It was the last match that they had, so she had to get that win back. Even though technically it wasn't a loss, right? But I would have liked for her to actually beat Thunder Rosa and win the match, and then whoever they was going to sign be a female, even though I know there was Paige Van Zant who was sitting in the crowd and everything. That's not what I was thinking about. I think on my pre-show prediction show, I said they should bring in Ember Moon, aka Athena, and she should have been the one to come out after she beat Thunder Rosa and says, "You beating everybody else, but you know there's still more people out there who want that title." And she should have been the big signing rather than Shane Strickland. I mean, I like Shane Strickland, but we should have just had Athena be the one. I think Ember Moon is a free agent now. She's not under that 90-day restrictions anymore. She can go do her thing. I would have liked for her to be the opponent. You know, that would have been, I think, better. It would have been a lot more energizing to their women's division rather than just having another guy who does the same stuff as all the other guys. You feel what I'm saying? And that's not a knock on Shane Strickland again. I like him. It's just that him stylistically is the same as everybody else stylistically in AEW. But I didn't care about this match. What I did care about was Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. And this was a match where the crowd basically went to sleep. And it sucks so bad because this match was actually very good. But they didn't have nearly the energy that the matches before it had. Especially the Kingston and Jericho match. If this match would have gone on before Kingston and Jericho, I think, crowd would have been dead for that match. But this was very good. It was very hard hitting. Both guys were laying their stuff in as far as their strikes were concerned. And then they went outside the ring. And when they went outside the ring, I put my head in my hands, because whenever I get really, energized into a Jon Moxley thing, he starts doing stuff that I absolutely cannot stand. He was throwing punches outside the ring at Bryan Danielson's head. Those punches wouldn't make an orphan blink. They were so bad. They were so bad. And they were right in front of people. Like, they're literally, like, not even 6 feet away. And he's, I'm like, oh my God, this looks awful, bro. This looks awful, man. This is awful. Moxley ends up bleeding from headbutts, that they were headbutting each other. Danielson likes headbutts. They go into the ring. They did a good job of Moxley, fighting from underneath. I actually like the fire up spot where Moxley got hit with a suplex and then he just kind of smashed the mat and jumped back up. I like that. But that was a chance to wake the crowd up and get them back into this by having a big comeback. And in WWE, that's probably what they would have done. They would have had the big heroic comeback, and then maybe Danielson would have had to powder, or he would have been on his heels. But in this one, they didn't really go into it like that. Also, there was this hand lock spot where they were locked hands with each other and they were kicking each other in the chest. And I was like, I don't even understand how they got in this position. It seems silly to me. It seems real silly. But whatever. Overall, this was a very strong contest. Moxley gets put into the triangle choke, and for like the fourth time in the match, he's not responding to the referee. And Moxley, are you there, Mox? Are you doing, Mox? And he's getting elbowed in the head and punched in the head. And there was he showed obviously some life, or you kind of had to be like, why don't they stop it? But he was trying to counter the triangle choke, and he kept getting put back down. And then he counters it by doing the old, jump over pin style. And it was 1, 2, 3, flat as fuck. A flat ass finish. That's what we got. Good triangle choke spot with Danielson doing the muscles and everything. And then he get hoisted upon his own petard, as him being overconfident led to Moxley out wrestling him, and countering him into the pin. They fight after the match, and then William Regal comes out there, and he towers over both of them, gets in Moxley's face, gets a little bit of Moxley's blood on him, smacks him, then gets in Danielson's face, smacks him too, and then tells them both that they need to shake hands and drop this whole thing and need to shake hands. And then they do it. They listen to William Regal and they shake hands. And I was like, okay, all right. Now you have to, this is another one of those inside baseball things where it's not anything that AEW told you, which they could have. They could have said, we both were, our mentor, William Regal, told us, we could have done this, yada, yada, yada. You could have introduced that weeks ago. It wouldn't have been a surprise then when Regal showed up. But at least it would have been in the story already. Now you're left, if you don't know, you're left with why is William Regal here? Why is Jon Moxley listening to him? Why does Daniel Bryan listen to him? Why is he can slap both of these guys and not get any type of retaliation? These are two tough guys here. Again, not thinking about the fan who's probably looking at this for the first time, but they already know there's very few fans who are looking at this for the first time. They know that a lot of their audience is people who have been steeped in ROH lore since 2003 or some shit. That's the only way this stuff works. Cause this is lost on people who are just kind of like, I remember William Regal. I know who that guy is. I know who Danielson is. I know who Ambrose is, but I don't understand how they interact with each other. But for somebody who knows a little bit about their history, it makes sense that I could look at this and be like, okay, they're, Regal can unify them. So I didn't like the finish, mainly because I think it was kind of a cop out. It was fine, I guess. It was kind of unique for Moxley. And it gave Danielson a way to complain, which I guess led to the fight scene. So I guess it works in story, even though I really didn't care for it. It kind of works in terms of the story that they were telling. The crowd woke up for William Regal, which of course, why wouldn't they wake up for a surprise? I'm very interested in what they do with him. Him being on board with AEW is a good thing. I'm surprised they're going with the name William Regal and not going, but maybe he owns that name. I don't know. I don't think he want to go by his real name, I guess. I would think he probably would have gone by Steven Regal, which would have been his WCW name, but maybe WWE will own both of those names. But maybe he does own his own name. I don't know. In any event, this was really good. I liked the Moxley-Danielson match. I think it was very hard-hitting. There's enough wrestling in it that made it feel legit. The blood was a bit much. We had been seeing blood all week when it comes to Punk, and then they just did Punk and MJF, and they had blood in their match. So it was absolutely a little too much blood. It's like, all right, we're overdoing it. This isn't a blood feud. This is two guys. I know that their feud was about, Moxley only drinks blood, and, Danielson's like, oh, you're going to bleed. You're going to be the only one bleeding. And I get that, but you can't overdo it. The reason why red equals green, and I saw that for a lot of people who are saying, oh, you can't criticize AEW for the blood, man. Blood, red equals green. It's like, but you have to understand, it wasn't blood in every fucking match, though. And not every other match either. And then everybody wasn't doing it. Like, the blood has to be strategically used in order for it to equal green. The MJF CM Punk thing already had blood. This one didn't really need blood. It was two tough guys who were like, Danielson saying, hey, I want to be partners. And Moxley was like, no, I want to beat you first. Then maybe we can become partners. But I want to make sure that you're up to snuff, that you're not scared of me. And you're not scared of, real violence. And I get that blood equals violence, and that's what people think. But you could tell the story of these two guys scratching and clawing at each other, which is what this was. These two dudes fighting. Like, I like the fight outside the ring. I just didn't like Moxley's weak-ass punches and the stupid fucking headbutts. I hate headbutts in wrestling. I hate them. I hate them so much. But you can have these two guys clawing at each other and trying to strangle each other and bulldog chokes and everything else. That's great. That's great shit. And you get over the story the same way without so much bleeding. You don't need blood in every situation. I don't think this match needed it. Did it enhance it? Not really. I think that the story was overshadowed the bleeding, and the blood should be the story, which is very strange. CM Punk wore white to emphasize the blood in his feud. Neither one of these guys did the same thing, so that should tell you something. All right. Seventh match. This is where I started saying this show is too long, because I definitely have seen everything I wanted to see. There was nothing after Danielson and Moxley that I wanted to see. That's just me being honest. I just did not care anymore. I was like, all right, this show, too long. But then we had to have this trios match, which I forgot even was going to occur. Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy versus Darby Allin, Sting, and Sammy Guevara. A tornado trios match for no real purpose. They could have put this on Dynamite. There was a short film by Darby Allin that featured a torching of a funeral service. Okay. I didn't mind this, I guess. They're doing these short films for his entrances. All right. I really kind of think Darby Allin got screwed by all these guys coming in. Because Darby is the guy who, if you watched AEW 2 years ago, you thought Darby would have been top guy by now. But now Darby is a really solid middle card dude. And to me, that's a mistake. He could have been the top babyface of AEW. He should be where Hangman Page is. He has a lot more charisma, a lot more personality. you know, but they just decided to put Sting with him, which I guess was good for him, good for Sting, but he is more over. And to go back to what I was saying before, there are more people painting half their face because they're fans of Darby Allin that are interested in Adam Page. Again, there are more people who are interested in Darby Allin because he looks cool to them. Even with the silly skater stuff, he looks cool to them. He comes across as being a very cool guy. Somebody that people might want to be like, might want to imitate. Versus Hangman Page. He should have been the guy, but whatever. I'm just going to hit this match was nothing. It was just a bunch of guys jumping all over the place. And of course, all the HFO guys, because it's a no disqualification match. That means everybody was involved. Everybody was everywhere doing everything. So the important thing, which everybody wants to talk about. 62-year-old Sting jumping off of a balcony through a table. I think through two tables, actually. My whole response was, why is Sting doing this? Like Sting is having a Terry Funk and ECW type run here with AEW, where it's mostly tag matches. He's not working singles matches, but he's able to go out there and just do all kinds of stuff. And people are just like, wow, this is cool. This old man is still doing all this stuff. And I remember as I was watching ECW on the network, that's kind of how it kind of looked like. Everybody had this reverence for Terry Funk because he was a top main guy who was coming to slum with them and then do their shit, like do, the tables and the fire and all this kind of stuff. And now Sting's doing it. Sting's like, you know what? WCW is dead. I'm an old man. I only live once. Let's go out there and make some experiences. Let's go out there and make some fucking moments. I don't need to win world championships. I've already done that. I've already made the money. I'm doing this stuff because I enjoy it now. I can physically do it. I don't have to do it once or twice a month. Let's go. And Sting jumped off that balcony. So at first I was horrified. I was like, I can't believe they asked Sting to do this. And then afterwards I was like, that was so fucking cool that I was like, you know what? Thumbs up, Sting. Go ahead, man. You only live once. People are going to remember that shit forever. The crowd was dead fucking tired for this match, though. And they just did not care about this fucking match. But Sting jumping off that balcony fucking ruled. All right, that shit ruled. That shit ruled hard. So I was cool with that. Everything else, though, fuck this match. And flat out, fuck this match. No, seriously, fuck this match. Especially that finish. And you know where I'm going with this. Darby Allin, just, not only did he not hit Matt Hardy, it didn't even look like he hit Matt Hardy. There's a bunch of people who are like, the coffin drop, it looked great from the side. No, it didn't. I can see Matt Hardy's whole body. Matt Hardy's whole body is towards the camera. Fucking Darby Allin jumps down, plops right in the middle of the ring. He didn't hit anything. And I just, when that match was over, I was like, my God, bro, I really, really, really need this show to end. Like, I was like, I can't, no more, dog. No more. Like, Sting jumping off the balcony was the last great thing on this show. That was it. I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm over this. This shit needs to end. It needs to go off the air right now. And we're like, they don't have, their matches are so choreographed. They have no ability. And it's like, it's really weird. WWE overscripts the promos. They do. AEW overscripts the matches, right? There's just no way that Matt Hardy, with all his years of experience, should have just allowed that to be the finish. There's just no way. There's no excuse for it, man. He should have just been like, man, that was probably like shit. You didn't hit me. Like that. There was no contact. We need to do it again, Even if you need to go a little bit longer in order to not fuck it up. The show is already long, all right? What you going to do? Shave a couple of seconds off the main event? Come on. Who cares? Somebody should have told them, we need to run that back. You need to do a better finish than that. Even if it was just do whatever secondary finish Darby Allin has with the legs and everything. You know, that whole pinfall thing that he does. Maybe was the Last Supper, whatever. I think that's what it's called. Maybe they should have called that and said it wasn't good. Do it again, because that was awful, and that was awful. That was some shit you'd have saw in backyard wrestling. I hate it. I hate this match. I hate it. The Battle of the Atoms, the splitting of the Atom. The crowd spent most of this match putting themselves over, chanting, "Let's go, Adam. We want Adam." And we learned that Vince does not like people to have the same name, and now we know why. Now we know why. The crowd spent this whole match putting themselves over, chanting for both guys by just saying, "Let's go, Adam. We want Adam." You know, and it was ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. Now, the content of the match was just a typical Adam Cole super kick 100 times match. And I was so tired that I was just kind of like, I cannot believe we're still having this kind of match right now. I can't believe they used a power driver through a table, and that wasn't the finish. Nor did it lead to the finish in any meaningful way. Can't believe Red Dragon was outside the ring for so long. Then the Dark Order came out there, and I was just kind of like, no, please end this show. So the Battle of the Atoms ends with the buckshot lariat, and I was like, oh God, thank heavens. Definitely the wrong decision to have Hangman Page win, because now what do you do with Adam Cole? You know, he was undefeated until he wrestled Adam Page, and he lost. So the first time he wrestled any real competition, he loses. All right, whatever. I'm guessing it's a setup for Kenny Omega coming back. That's my guess, and they're going to do Cole versus Omega, which probably should have been the storyline from the beginning, and we should have pushed Cole challenging for the title back. But whatever. So we are where we are now. So after Hangman Page wins, he shakes Adam Cole's hand, because we've been having handshakes all night. Because Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor, remember? So they're handshakes. So many handshakes. Everybody has to have a handshake. The women were the only ones not trying to shake hands. I don't see why. There's a Women of Honor too. Why not just have Britt Baker try to shake Thunder Rosa's hand? Jade Cargill try to shake. Well, I guess they didn't shake. I guess they kissed. I guess that's better than a handshake. All the men are shaking hands. The women, they have to kiss. You know, yeah. Hey, it is what it is, man. But all the handshakes, there were so many fucking handshakes. It was like going to a goddamn seminar or something like that. It's like everybody's shaking hands all of a sudden. Like Jericho, the only one who kind of refused the little code of honor that they're trying to introduce into AEW. This is horseshit. I fucking hated these last two matches. Those last two matches prevented this show from being a really fun show. And it's not because those matches were so bad. It's because they felt like the same kind of shit we've already seen just happening again. If you would have just shortened this show by maybe taking out that trios match, could have took that out and put it somewhere else, maybe on Dynamite. Jade Cargill and Ty Conti, you could have took that out too, put it on Dynamite. This show would have been 3 hours and probably still would have been a little too long. But it would have been infinitely better. My review probably would be much better, because I would have been like, all right, every match wouldn't have been a banger for sure, because I really didn't care for that ladder match either. But at least it was pay-per-view worthy. You know, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, they've had 100 matches already. Well, not 100. They probably had 5 or 6. But I can buy it as a pay-per-view match. You know, all right. Danielson and Moxley definitely needs to be on pay-per-view. MJF, Punk definitely needs to be on pay-per-view. Page, Cole definitely needs to be on pay-per-view. But those other matches, the matches I said they should have took off, those matches didn't need to be. You know, they just didn't need to be on pay-per-view. They could have been on TV. So overall, again, the matches that I liked, they really, really delivered. Kingston and Jericho, really fun. Moxley and Danielson, really fun. MJF, Punk, really fun. Those 3 matches are the only 3 matches I cared about. And those were the 3 best matches. I enjoyed the storytelling with Wardlow. I thought that was great. Shane Strickland getting signed was great too. Hopefully he doesn't end up in the shitter. That's called AEW. What was it? Dark Elevation or something like that. But everything else, it just was what it was. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Appreciate everybody, and I'll talk to you guys later.